A few days ago, precisely the 30th of August, the EU officially kicked the US off the safe list of countries to travel to during COVID. And this list, of course, includes some other countries that I will tell you about as we go on. And it's so sad because we only just got added to the safe list a few months ago. And now we have to, of course, start all over again and try to climb up that ladder to be back in. You know, the short and long of this all is that we were removed because of the increase in COVID-19 cases in the US. You know, all hail Delta, the variant that has made our situation worse. And I'm sure you, just like I say too, you know, we cannot disagree with them for not wanting to allow us be on that safe list. You know, I mean, every country have to do what is good for them or what they deem good for them, if that's the word to use. Announcement has confused, if not devastated or, you know, discombobulated travelers, you know, with plans of going to Europe. In simple words, I say it's complicated. Complicated because booking travel, especially booking international travel, is already difficult as it is. And having to now be on top of it and contacting airlines and hotels and resorts and canceling them or rebooking them, that's enough strain on travelers. If you've been having any of those horrible symptoms of confusion, frustrations, unhappiness, sadness, you have come to the right channel. Where we can dissect this thing, simplify the wordings that have been used for, you know, for people like you and I to have a proper understanding of how to move forward with it. Now, before we continue, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cynthia. I am your wellness and lifestyle travel expert at Thea's Travel Services. Everyone calls me Thea, and so can Let's go ahead and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos, as information, travel information changes day after day, if not moment by moment. And of course, like this video, and don't forget to share it, because I'm sure it's going to help somebody else. So now let's try to break it down in the same way possible so that each and every one of us understand what this whole thing is about. In this video, we will be dissecting key facts surrounding the removal of the US from the safe list by the EU. EU, by the way, is European Union. Now, let's try to dissect key facts surrounding the removal of the US from the safe list by the European Union. And of course, how it affects upcoming trips for US passport holders. First point here is, for countries to be able to stay on that safe list, they are not allowed to have more than 75 new COVID-19 cases per 100,000 inhabitants over a 14-day period of time. Right now, for example, the state of Florida has the highest hospitalization cases in the country, with 75 patients per day and up to 700 new COVID cases per day. It's really sad to say that we are far from making that EU safe list. The next thing I'm going to do here is I will break down some key factors. What does removal from the travel safe list really mean? Is it a ban or not? Let me make this clear. It is not a ban on the on US citizens. The removal from the safe list is simply a recommendation across the EU But so I would say it's complicated, right? 27 individual EU countries are allowed to make their own decisions. And I waited up until today to do this video because I was monitoring any updates on countries that have come up with certain criteria, regulations, restrictions on how we are going to be affected entering those countries in the EU. Next key factor, vaccinated travelers can still travel to the EU. We remember, since we joined the safe list, the requirement to travel to the EU, fully vaccinated travelers have to have a negative COVID-19 test result within 72 hours of travel. That's approximately 3 days. With the latest announcements, a lot of experts are bracing stricter rules that might be implemented or recommended. Germany has reimposed restrictions on unvaccinated Americans. Those who are unvaccinated and unable to show proof of recovery will need to self-isolate for 10 days. The good news is the quarantine can be able to show a proof of a negative test result. The next update that we have is France and Italy. They have implemented a digital pass that allows travelers enter certain indoor businesses. And Spain also just announced, effective September 6th, from the US, all travelers will be required to show a proof of full vaccination or recovery, negative NAAT test taken within 72 hours, a document that we need to have, according to Spain, or a negative antigen test taken within 48 hours of arrival. So far, children under the age of 12 are exempted from this test. Just a quick recap. At least one of these 3 documents need to be presented before you travel. Quick clarification. Going into Spain, all travelers are required to complete a non-sanitary control form via the Spanish government by downloading an app, the Spain Travel Health app, SPTH. And once they complete this form, they will be able to obtain a QR code to be presented at the time of boarding and upon arrival into the country. Paper forms are not accepted, so everything needs to be done online. Oh, and Italy. Italy requires all US passport holders traveling from the US to quarantine for 5 days and requires vaccinated travelers to also have a negative COVID-19 test. You know, if it's not one thing, it's another, right? Another point here is the Netherlands now require quarantine for all travelers coming from the US. If you are planning on going to the EU for vacation anytime soon, I highly recommend travel insurance. And, you know, it is just best to pay that little fee for your travel insurance than lose your money. I mean, just think about the scenario. You go for the test and it's positive. You don't have travel insurance. Do your homework and make sure you buy your travel insurance before you travel, because it would save you tons of money. For instance, I just came back from Costa Rica, and going to Costa Rica, of course, I didn't require anything, not even a COVID test. But coming back to the US, I required a COVID test. That had to be negative, of course. Just imagine for a moment if it was positive. I didn't have insurance. How was I going to be able to stay in quarantine? How was I going to be able to go to the hospital? You know, all those fees add up, and I don't know how it works. I've never been in that situation. But if that country would have to take care of you, just be ready to pay that bill because they will send it to you. So don't leave without your travel insurance. So yes, you would say, Thea, you're a travel expert. You know those things. Yes, I know those things. And that's why you need me. So ask questions. And if you don't want to ask me questions because you don't want to pay for my services, research. But make sure you have the correct information. Let's dissect here. What does it mean for you and your travel plans? It simply means new travel restrictions, new quarantine terms, testing requirements for U.S. passport holders coming from the U.S., Mexico, Lebanon, North Macedonia, Israel, and Montenegro. These recommendations have been effective since the 30th of August. I said earlier, it took us a while to be able to gather this, and that's because we wanted to be sure that we were giving you the correct information. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of this update. And for now, take a deep breath. This is a recommendation. US passport holders are not banned from entering the EU. If you're planning to visit the European Union anytime soon, here are my personal tips. Getting vaccinated can help ease your travel. We advise that you make the right decision to ease your future trips. From research, it shows that traveling fully vaccinated makes it easier for you to get into a lot of countries. My next tip is make sure you speak with your airline or hotel about their terms and conditions when it comes to trip interruption and cancellations. Next tip is I would suggest planning trips to countries that do not have restrictions. We dropped a video called Countries to Visit Without COVID Restrictions. A list of these countries included, of course, Mexico, Costa Rica, Albania, Colombia, and I'm sure there are a whole lot more. Make sure you purchase travel insurance before you go away. I highly recommend it, and I cannot say it enough. Please get one. And when you get that travel insurance, make sure it covers COVID-19 when you're flying in to the country and when you're flying out. Please leave us your comments on this new EU travel restriction. Let us know if you have any plans going to the European Union anytime soon. And you know what? If you are not ready to travel now, very understandable. Once again, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and sharing this video. And until then, how is your soul doing? See you next time.